James Joyce was born into a middle-class Dublin family in 1882, but his father, whom young Jim adored, soon squandered the family inheritance. His mother was a staunch Catholic who tried to instill her faith into her son. Joyce was educated by the Jesuits, who considered him a brilliant scholar, and he briefly considered entering the priesthood. But Joyce rejected the church after a considerable struggle, a struggle he attributes to Stephen in A Portrait of the Artist. That novel ends with Stephen fleeing to Europe with the words,
"Welcome, O life. I go to encounter for the millionth time the reality of experience, and to forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated conscience of my race."
In 1907, Joyce himself left Dublin to spend the rest of his life on the continent.
Joyce had various reasons for going into exile, if we may call it that. Of course, in the first place, a very banal reason. You cannot write in Dublin. There's too much talk. Anybody who's tried to write a book in Dublin knows that the book can be spent in a couple of pub conversations. You don't want to write the book after that. You've done the job of being a bard and given out the words. But there's nothing in Ulysses which is really intelligible unless you understand this Jesuit-educated background, this life in a small city, this resentment at church, at family, at nationalism, at the British Empire, and all these various factors which perhaps drove Joyce out of the British Isles to live in the continent of Europe, to become a European. Joyce did recognize that out there in Europe, as he put it, the modernistic movement was stirring.
Joyce went first to Trieste in Italy to teach English, but during the First World War, he moved to neutral Zurich, where he continued to work on Ulysses. In Zurich, he became friends with the artist Frank Budgen, who later described Joyce at work on the novel.
Ireland's a marvellous country, the Emerald Isle. The metropolitan government, after centuries strangling it, have finally laid it waste. The government has sowed hunger, syphilis, superstition, and alcoholism there. And what sprung up? Puritans, Jesuits, and bigots.
That's a gloomy view to take of your fellow countrymen.
Well, now, strictly speaking, Dubliners are my fellow countrymen, but I don't dare talk about dear, dirty Dublin the way they do. Dubliners are the most hopeless, useless, and inconsistent race of charlatans I've ever come across. They spend their time gabbing and doing the rounds of bars, taverns, and alehouses. Never getting fed up with the double doses of whiskey and home rule. Everybody has time to stop and talk to a friend about a third party. Pat, or Barney, or Tim. Have you seen Barney recently? Is he still off the drink? Oh, indeed he is. Sure, I was with him last night and he drank nothing but claret.
Despite, or perhaps because of his exile, Joyce remained obsessed by his native city, and Ulysses became the most precise evocation of a city to be found in literature. Using every means available, maps, reference books, timings of walks demanded from friends, Joyce based the fictitious events of Ulysses on a background which is geographically exact.